Good afternoon, Mark. Chairman Lucas is questioning directly whether the Obama administration may be overplaying the sequester impact on the nation's food safety program. He pressed the issue earlier this week at a hearing with Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack.
The question that the committee had was, doesn't the Food Safety Act trump everything else? Isn't it important we have the inspectors on the line? The Secretary essentially said no, sequestration trumps the Food Safety Act. He didn't have jurisdiction to overcome that. But later in the discussions, he noted it might be 30, 60, 90 days before he could take any action on furloughing because he had to negotiate the labor issues. So,
these are scare tactics?
Let's just say that the Achilles heel of the food chain in this country is inspection, because you can't serve food in this country that's not been processed under inspection. The Secretary knows that, but I think he has some flexibility. I hope he'll ask for it. And I asked him point blank in committee, have you asked the appropriators when we did this earlier CR to give you more flexibility? Have you signaled us in the committee? Well, no, they haven't.
Do you think there's an appetite in Congress for giving USDA more flexibility? There is this continuing resolution, this spending bill that has to be approved not only by the House but also by the Senate now.
Well, the first thing, Pete, is the administration has to act. Ask. Has the Secretary directed his people to ask the appropriators, ask us for help? Has he asked OMB? Has he asked the White House for permission? I think those are steps that need to be taken, because making sure the consumers have the safest and most affordable food supply and that there's food on the shelf is one of the highest priorities for USDA.
What about agriculture in the big budget picture? You know there are Democrats, there are some Republicans who say, listen, one of the targets at the top of the list should be these agricultural subsidies, these direct payments to farmers. Are you losing that fight?
Well, I don't think we're losing that fight. Remember, Pete, last summer when we marked up our farm bill, we weren't able to secure floor time, but we proposed saving $35 billion. Now think about the hullabaloo over sequestration. That's $85 billion. And in the Farm Bill alone, we were going to save $35 billion last summer. We've been doing our work on the Ag Committee. We just need a chance to finish the Farm Bill this year, complete our work, achieve our savings. We're going to do our part on Ag.
We had a Farm Bill in the Senate. We had a Farm Bill in the House. Didn't get done last year. What is the biggest obstacle to getting one done this year? What are you worried about most?
I think getting the attention of the United States House and floor time. We've been consumed by sequestration. Now we've been consumed by the CR. The next thing on the agenda in the House will be the Budget Committee and Chairman Ryan's budget proposal. Then we'll move on to the next debt ceiling debate. We've got the regular appropriation process to do next year. On the Ag Committee, we're competing with all of that and immigration and a variety of other topics for time. But we're going to do our work.
Speaker Boehner's with you on this?
I think Speaker Boehner understands we've got to have a farm bill.
And if you don't, what's the risk out there? People talk about you can just continue on these levels that you've got right now.
Farm policy is a little different. If you don't pass a new farm bill or extend the old farm bill, you revert to 1949 law. That's parity, that's equity, that's quotas, that's farm policies that no one ever wants to go back to.
How worried are you that at a time when a lot of farmers in this country, not all to be sure, have seen some good prices, they've had some good profits over the last couple of years, that you're talking about cutting that safety net or reducing that safety net at a time when a lot of farmers are doing well?
Pete, that's always been part of the problem. We live in a situation in the nation's capital now where everything's short-sighted. Farm bills are written for 5 years, not just to address what's happening this year or next year, which I expect to be good conditions, setting weather aside, but they're written to address year 3, 4, 5. What happens in international markets? What happens to the economy here? Demand around the world. That's why you need a 5-year farm bill. Not just because this year's okay or next year will be okay, but what happens 3, 4, 5 years from now.
You also have jurisdiction over the CFTC. Reauthorization for the CFTC this year. What is it you want to see happen?
We will be doing a bill. We're going to finish our series of hearings. We're going to make determinations about how to address this act. People outside of the financial community don't understand how many billions or trillions of dollars CFTC and their decisions impact the entire economy and every consumer. We'll do a reauthorization, and by the way, we'll continue our efforts to try in a very targeted fashion to clean up some of the issues in Dodd-Frank.
What's the biggest issue you still want to change in Dodd-Frank?
I've got about 6 bills that are being worked on by my members, covering a variety of topics. They're all very targeted things. We'll have a hearing soon and a markup shortly thereafter, I believe. We'll get into the nitty-gritty together, Pete.
And you'll be pleased to see Chairman Gensler stay on in that job? There's been a lot of talk. He's been asked to serve again.
Well, that's something the United States Senate will decide.